Last, and in this case least, our speaker is Dan Cogdale. Dan has done more than any other lawyer in Texas to make Texas unsafe for you and your family. Dan has dedicated his career to putting back on our streets murderers, rapists, robbers, attorney generals. Now, he's finally trying to do something good for Texas. And you know, we talked about trying to get something on your obituary that makes you look good. It may be too late for Dan, but at least he's trying. And Dan, I hope God grades on a curve. Anyway, many of you probably read in the news about Muslims are trying to start what's called Epic City, a community north of Dallas. And it's just incredible, the things Dan's going to tell you about what our government, both state and since Cornyn's in a race, you know, nationally, are doing to these citizens of Texas. You know, we hear all these things coming out of the legislature about, you know, religious freedom and religious liberty. Dan's going to tell you what really happens if you're not, I guess, a Christian. So Dan calls his topic, the title he gave me is One Cow Patty, One Ranger.
I want to thank Dickie again for being gracious enough to let me pay my own way here and stay in a hotel at my own cost to speak to a group of lawyers I'll never be a member of. So thank you, Dick. It's great. It's really great. Second year in a row, by the way. So let's get this party started. I apologize in advance if you're a fan or a friend of our Attorney General, our President, God bless you on that one, my client and sometimes client and friend Ken Paxton, and the guy he's going to beat for the U.S. Senate, John Cornyn, because I'm going to talk lovingly about all of them. You guys are sophisticated, successful, financially stable humans. I am not. I'm a dirty fingernail criminal defense lawyer, depending upon agencies to investigate and charge people. Well, our current president is killing my business model. He's killing it. He's dismantling the FBI. Kash Patel, as most of you know, who's the director of the FBI, his stated purpose is to dismantle the FBI. I mean, what a job description. He's eliminating complex corporate fraud prosecutions. FCPA is gone. They are almost exclusively focusing on practices involving immigration. I called Ferrari of Houston last week and said, I want to order a yellow 296. And they said, well, Mr. Cogdell, that takes a $50,000 deposit. And I said, no worries. I've got a bunch of immigration cases coming in my docket. Surely that's good enough. It was not. My point is, I can't pay for my shit based on immigration cases. I cannot. So my business model looks a lot like that in the year of our Lord 2025. I just wish I was joking. So earlier this year, it's the question of 2025. A client of mine, Dr. Mohammed, really nice fella, came to me and said, Cogdell, would you consider representing a mosque? And I said, I don't know. What's it done? And he said, nothing. I said, well, why do they need my help? And so I began to learn about, could I represent a mosque? It involved deep, introspective questions. Am I a Muslim? No. Am I Islamic? No. Am I even as brown-skinned as my co-counsel in the impeachment case, Tony Busby, after the self-tan? No. But I ultimately ask that question that we all ask of ourselves at one point or another: could I use the business? So the answer to that question was, yes, I'm your guy. Most of you don't know me. I'm from the west side of Houston. I went to a high school, Stratford High School. I don't want to brag, but I was a 2-time Outstanding Metal Shop Student of the Year in Stratford. 2-time. That's pretty much my highest academic achievement. My point being, at Stratford in the year of our Lord 1975, I'm going to my 50th high school reunion. I don't know why I want to hang out with all those old people, but that's another story. We had 3 blacks. We had like 1,200 folks in our graduating class, 3 black kids. Muslims, what the hell was that? We had 5 or 6 Hispanics. I just didn't grow up around anybody. I went to UT, but this is back in 79, 75 and 79. Just not a lot of exposure to anybody that doesn't look like me. I mean, Judge Atlas said I'm the waspiest attorney she's ever had in her court, and I can't argue with that. It's not by choice, it's just kind of my life experience. So, Hunter S. Thompson is one of my heroes. You hear that caveat about don't ever meet your heroes. It was true with respect to Hunter, but that's another story. But one of his great lines was, when the going gets weird, the weird turn pro. So here I am. Fun facts, and again, most of y'all are smarter, probably all of y'all are smarter, more literate on me, but I didn't know hardly any of these fun facts. They represent 25% of the world's population. I point that out to you because all my frat brothers who I went through Hell Week with, you know, Cogdell, what the hell are you doing representing these terrorists? They're all terrorists. What are you doing? What are you doing? Well, you know, they're not all terrorists because they represent 25% of the world's population. I say they, that's a horrible way to describe it. They make up 2 billion people worldwide, and they pray 5 times a day. I knew nothing about that. The prayer gets relevant, and I might pray 5 times a year, but it's different than the stuff they pray for. I promise you about that. My requests are far different. So here's where it started. Here we go. This is the promotional video for Epic City.
A testament to faith
in
and
Collin
community.
County.
The heart of our journey begins with the foundation of unity. Education, the cornerstone of growth and prosperity.
Let me speed it up a bit.
Young minds flourish,
Get to the
nurtured by
relevant
knowledge
part.
and boundless opportunity. Beautiful scenery.
You know that music's just going to resonate with anyone in Collin County, right? Just a natural.
Welcome to the
it's like
future
George
of
Strait.
living. Welcome to Epic City. Nestled in the heart of Josephine, Texas. It
You've
is
all been
about
there,
20
Josephine.
miles and 20 minutes from Epic. Commercial areas.
Allahu Akbar, Allah.
You get the idea. So I see the promotional video, and my intelligent, highly educated mind takes me to very specific places that only a genius like me could think of when I'm talking to a fellow by the name of Imran Chowdhury, who's just lovely. I ask him, is there really a need for this shit, dude? Do we really need this in Collin County? He explained to me, yes, we do. Why do you want to build it there? It's where the Bible belt buckles. Why do we want to build it there? And he said, because that's where we live. Oh, can you sell the lots? Yeah, we've already pre-sold them. And what has happened up to this point, the East Plano Islamic Center, EPIC, has existed for probably 10 years. And unsurprisingly, it is all the homes around EPIC are mostly owned by Muslims, right? Because they pray 5 times a day. And if you pray 5 times a day, it's really handy to live near a mosque. Who would have thought? So that video that you just saw goes out. The ground zero of all this bullshit, and you'll hear that word a lot, that comes after the promotional video, the ground zero is this creature named Amy Meck. Her real name is Amy Meckelberg, but she's Amy Meck. And if you look down there, she's got 514,000 followers. Now, most of you people probably know this. Again, I did not. If you have a sufficient following on Instagram or TikTok, we'll get there too, it monetizes you. You get paid, right? You got 500,000 followers. She's probably making, if that were on TikTok, she's probably making 40, 50 grand a month, right? Just by putting out hate speech. I never knew you could monetize your hate, but you can, and she's doing it. She is a self-proclaimed Islamophobe. I've never known somebody who describes them to, hi, I'm Amy Meck, Islamophobe. That's what she does. She puts out these tweets that the folks behind EPIC are going to engage in Sharia law. Well, Sharia law, I have come to find out, is kind of like beauty or judgment. It means what you want it to mean. There's no definition. Essentially, when you boil it all down, Sharia law means, under their faith, doing the ethical thing. But under the parlance of our world in 2025, it's used as hate speech, meaning they're going to marry 12-year-old girls, they're going to cut off hands of anybody, they're disregard to the laws, blah, blah, blah. Scares the shit out of people. She said that we'd have no-go zones. A no-go zone means law enforcement can't get in there. They are banned from attending or getting in. She said only Muslims can live there. Total bullshit. Anybody can live there. Fun fact, I'm going to buy a lot there, right? And this is how desperate I am. This case is the only case in 42 years of doing this shit, pardon me, where people want selfies done with me. I need to live in that neighborhood. I gotta live in that neighborhood. She puts out all this crap about how hateful, how dangerous, how vengeful it's gonna be. So she puts it out, this tweet. The person, you can direct your tweet, or X, as you probably know, at somebody else. She directs her tweet at a fan favorite of mine, Sidney Powell. Yeah, that Sidney Powell, she of Release the Kraken fame, that woman. And then Powell turns around and directs it at Greg Abbott. Same day. Abbott begins his assault on an on a lawful, decent, kind, hardworking group of people. It's disgusting. But as Mark Twain said, a lie can travel halfway around the world while the truth is still putting on its shoes. This has been my life for the past 2 months, and it's just so on board. You probably recognize him, Ali G or Sacha Baron Cohen. This is a skit, but it's my life.
Tell me about your dream mosque.
There is no dream mosque. We don't want a mosque.
Who wants to see huge economic growth here? Everybody. Right. Who wants to see an investment of $385 million? I'm here to tell you that Kingman has been chosen as the location of a brand new, state-of-the-art mosque.
What? State of the art what?
I know some of you are thinking, okay, this is just another typical mosque. This, guys, is going to be the world's largest mosque outside of the Middle East.
Just the word alone scares you. To me, when I hear the word mosque, I think of terrorism.
Is there a need for this in Kingman?
Yes, there is.
How?
Why?
What?
Your town will become a hub for tourism for Muslims around the world. Can I get a whoop whoop?
No. No. We don't want that shit here.
You bring in Muslims, we might have problems. We probably will have problems.
We'll all be moving out of this state.
Okay, let's, before we make up our minds, let's take a closer look at this wonderful mosque.
We made up our minds.
The Imam Zayed Wahhabi Mosque of Kingman. You guys will have the choice between two different designs. This is the first design. This is design 1. And this is design 2. So who here supports design 1?
Nobody.
Okay, so you're all for design 2.
Neither.
I mean, that has been my life for the past couple of months. I sort of buried the lead. I should have explained to you from the beginning that the development they wish to build, and I think will eventually build, is 402 acres. It borders Collin County and Johnson County. The centerpiece of it is going to be a mosque, right? But they're going to have daycare, adult care, child care, educational facilities. It's open to anyone. It's not just Muslims or Islamics, but it's unsurprisingly, they want to be in a community around like-minded people. What a shock, right? But anyone can buy in, anyone can live there. But as I've said 1,000 times, if this was a development in Red Oak, Texas, with a Baptist church in the middle of it, we would be having none of these conversations, right? It wouldn't even be on our register. So,
Tell me about
Abbott. This is the same day that MEC puts out her hate tweet. Directed the Texas Rangers to open an investigation. Fun fact, nothing had been done. Nothing. Not even a permit had been filed. But he's sending the Rangers. We'll get to that. Texas is a law and order state. Those scheming to evade enforcement scrutiny must know justice is the way. I mean, bullshit, bullshit, bullshit. All they're trying to do is build a subdivision, for God's sakes. It's so unconscionable. This is a list, not an exclusive list. Texas Workforce Commission is investigating. The State Securities Board is investigating. The Texas Funeral Service Commission. I didn't know there was a Texas Funeral Service Commission, but there is. I have now been there living. The Attorney General is investigating. Just on and on and on. So, as you know, just by this 10 minutes or so, I'm thoughtful, I'm quiet, I'm kind, I don't overreact, I strategize, I think things through. Yeah. I got to keep a path towards obstruction, so we have our first press conference.
I'm ashamed. I'm ashamed of the falsehoods that Abbott's office has been putting out. It's nonsense. He has tweeted that Sharia law will be implemented. That's a lie. That's an absolute lie. No one associated with Epic, no one associated with that community follows Sharia law or is in favor of Sharia law. The governor has weaponized that word repeatedly. He has said it's a no-go zone. That's absolute nonsense. For those of you who are familiar with the military phrase, that means it's not safe for law enforcement to go there. I think the legal phrase is bullshit. Absolutely nonsense. They have Mesquite Police Department that attends that mosque. They have a state rep that attends the mosque. They have a mayoral candidate that attends that mosque. It's absolute nonsense. He's called it a compound. Trust me, I represented a Branch Davidian. I know what a compound is. I've been there. There are no underage children being sexually molested. There are no cache of weapons. For him to call this a compound is an outright lie, and it's an insult, and it's doing nothing but try to demonize faithful, religious, honest, hardworking people. I'm ashamed that he's gone that far. I'm ashamed. I'm ashamed of the falsehoods that Abbott's office has been putting out. It's nonsense.
Hold on a second.
He has tweeted that Sharia law will...
So the next day, he puts out a tweet that says Texas has halted construction of Epic City. They hadn't even started construction. And look, he may be a fine person. He may be a wonderful governor. I take no position either way on that shit. I don't know enough about the man. Maybe it was his staff that said all this is true, but it's just utter nonsense that our highest elected official, and you can send this to Austin, is taking these ridiculous positions about shit that never happened. These are law-abiding, decent, hardworking, faithful people. I'd rather live there than Highland Park or River Oaks, I promise you. I don't have to worry about what these folks, which sounds horrible to classify, but I mean, I truly feel that way. It's just demonic what he's done. Oh, I don't stop. Shocker.
Perhaps the governor and his staff aren't xenophobic. Perhaps the governor and his staff aren't Islamophobic. Perhaps they're just plain ignorant or choose to be ignorant. But spoiler alert, they haven't started construction. They haven't even applied for the permits. For him to say stop it or the full weight of the law will come down on you is just utter nonsense. It's insane. They haven't even applied for the permits. And here he goes. Cease construction of the illegal project. They haven't started construction. And when they do, it'll be a legal project, not an illegal project.
It's my
He's
favorite.
Authorized the Texas Rangers to investigate. Really? It's a field. The old adage used to be one riot, one ranger. Is the new adage one cow patty, one ranger? It's a field. Come on out there, Texas Rangers. Call me up, 713-426-2244.
Nice
I'll
plug.
walk out in the
Nice
field
plug
with
there.
you. I'll answer any question you want. The idea that he's got the Rangers involved to investigate a cow patty? Perhaps.
So, after that little press conference, the cleric calls up and asks me to speak at the mosque. I don't know what that is. Allah, thank you. The cleric asked me to speak at the mosque. And I'm like, you want me to speak at a mosque? Yes, we do. I'm like, on a holy day? Yes. Okay. So I went in there. It was a holy day. There were 7,000 Muslims, 7,000. The men are down here. The women are up here behind a one-way glass. You can't see the women. The cleric said his prayers, all that stuff, right? And I'm looking around going, what in God's name have I gotten myself into? So I'm going to set the hook, me being me, as deep as I can, right? The only way I'm going to get through that without the floors opening up and me going straight to hell is to be straight with him. So I said, and I'm not embellishing this at all, I get introduced, and I said, thank you so much for having me. I just want to be completely candid with you. You'd probably have to go to a Ku Klux Klan meeting to find someone with pigment whiter than mine. And I got 7,000 Muslims looking at me like, what the fuck? I said, I know nothing about your faith. I know nothing about your religion. I know nothing about what you've been through as a people. But even a guy as white and uninformed as this one knows what Governor Abbott is saying about you is bullshit. And it just erupted. It was one of the most memorable moments of my life. It was just great fun. So, and again, Abbott halts development, controversial Muslim epic city due to Texas and DOJ investigations. All right, so in those videos you saw some pop-ups and some this and some fancy little shit going. I don't know how to do any of that crap, right? So after I spoke, some kids in Dallas that are Muslims, they have a podcast called The Foreign Exchange. Said, "You want to come on?" I said, "Does it involve a camera?" They said, "Yes." I said, "I'm good, I'm on it." So we speak, and we went through some of the high points, and they called me back the next day, and they got into the data, and they said, "Cogdell, you need your own podcast. You need to be on TikTok." I'm like, "Dude, no. I don't dance, and if I do, you don't want it videoed. I don't dance. I don't enjoy cat videos. I will never, ever, ever be on TikTok." They said, "You got to be on TikTok. You don't understand the reach that it can bring you." So, me being me, trying to expand my brand and avoid certain bankruptcy, all right, fine. So, a month later, there I am on TikTok with 22,000 followers. Now, if you would have told me 2 months ago that I would be on TikTok with, well, apparently those numbers are really strong for a short period of time. If you would have told me I was going to be on TikTok and I'd have 22,000 followers, I would have suggested a better rehab treatment program than the one I went to. It's like, that's not going to happen. But it did. So, one of the interviews, here we go.
Both teams just waiting for someone to pop off.
We haven't started.
And then they start to go back to their...
Oh, it's a good thing I don't have something else open in another tab. We'll get through that. So, these two.
Comes back out.
And look, I like General Paxton. He was a good client. Don't always agree with his politics, but I like him as an individual. I have to step completely outside of this speech and tell you, I went to Mark Lanier's. He put on a seminar this past week in Houston where they had 1,000 people attend. And as you know, Mark is the king of the universe, and specifically the king of the universe on media and all that. So, fun fact, Paxton's last state securities fraud case got dismissed on Wednesday, and Mark knew that I represented Ken. And of course, Mark is representing the state of Texas vis-a-vis Ken on the Google shit, right? So he sees me and he's like, "Come here. What are you doing here?" And I explained to him how much money I had been paid in total to represent General Paxton over the past 10 years. And when you spread that out over the past 10 years for the state securities fraud case, the FBI investigation, and the impeachment case, I netted it out. And I don't want to violate the privilege, but it's not much of a car payment, you know, on a monthly basis. I said, "Mark, that's why I'm here. I don't want to keep doing the stuff with an iron ceiling." All that having been said, Cornyn comes out, and I love this bit. Cornyn calls DOJ to investigate Epic City, blah, 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 whatever. And he got a campaign ad that said, "Ken Paxton's current lawyer currently represent Epic." Let that sink in. That is so offensive to me. He didn't mention me by name. That's bullshit. Total bullshit. Total bullshit. So, another favorite bit, the legislature proposed Senate Bill 23, which did not pass. You talk about an overreaction. Here's what Senate Bill 23 proposed regarding anybody with a development. Anyone with approval authority can deny approval if there's an ongoing investigation being conducted by the Office of the Attorney General, okay, any county judge, okay, or any district attorney's office. Now do the math. We have 254 counties in this state, which would give the authority to deny approval to about 500 people. Do you think that some dude out in Sonora that owns 16 sections of land that doesn't want a Walmart built on it is not going to call his county attorney, who's the son-in-law, and say, open an investigation? I mean, what in the world are we thinking that a bill like, what problem are we solving? It was directed specifically at Epic, but that's the overreach. That's the fear mongering. That's the impact, the whoring out, pardon me. All right, let's try that. So, the current status of all this nonsense is this. The Federal Fair Housing Act investigation is closed. That's the one that Cornyn sought. It's over with. The State Securities Board material has been supplied. I have said since that first press conference 6 weeks ago, for the first time in 42 years of doing this shit, you don't need a subpoena. You don't even need a letter. If you're the FBI, if you're the Texas Rangers, if you're the State Securities Board, if you're who the hell ever, call me up. I will give you whatever you want. That's how confident, I have notified my carrier, that's how confident I am that these people have done nothing wrong. Come and get it. We have absolutely zero to hide. We provided that material. The AG's office, their investigation is ongoing. Still working with the Funeral Home Commission, again, just not something I saw back in law school that I'd be doing at 68 years old. I know what I want to be when I grow up, a Funeral Home Commission defense lawyer. Just didn't think that was going to happen. My prediction, no charges are going to be filed. I truly believe that at the end of the day. I mean, frankly, I'm still trying to buy that Ferrari. I hope they are, because I can try it and win it. But I don't think anything will come out of this, except that we have had politician after politician after politician bending themselves into a pretzel to see how far right or how far more right they can go than the next one. It's just been unbelievable to me. Okay, lessons learned. I have represented some wonderful people, really. I have represented some not so wonderful people. But every few years you get a case, when you're in my dirty fingernail, one generation out of a trailer park practice, where it really matters to you more than defending the Constitution. It really matters to you that you can help somebody. This is one of those cases. I love this case. I love these people. They are just lovely. Personal impact, I've gotten hate email, bunch of calls. Again, that's not particularly unusual given who I am and given what my practice is, but I mean hundreds of emails, hundreds of phone calls. How can you do this? They published my home address, which is lovely. They put pictures of my wife, which was a real benefit to me because nobody believes I could be married to someone as pretty as her. And the comments were, there's no friggin' way that she married him, or he must have a lot more money than I thought he did. It's wonderful. She's pretty upset about it. She's been recovering from treatment at MD Anderson, and that's just not what we need, but whatever. Some of you are nearly as old as I am. You cannot underestimate both the negative value and the positive value of social media. We got into the weeds on how many people view TikTok. I really thought it was a bunch of teenagers, recreating Taylor Swift's song. It's not. There is so much information out there, news that is consumed through social media and not traditional channels. It's unbelievable to me. And you can harness it to your own good. Because of those interviews with me and repurposing them, we've been interviewed by the Wall Street Journal, The Economist, Dallas Morning News, The Guardian, I mean, all over the country and the world, they wouldn't have come to me if we wouldn't have put those videos out, right? They wouldn't even have known who, because there's been no criminal charges filed, right? So it's a huge impact. Getting outside of my comfort zone has turned out to be pretty damn comfortable. So don't hesitate to try it. That's it. Thank y'all.